If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've played or at least heard of Mario Kart DS. Mario Kart DS is generally considered to be one of the best Mario Karts of all time. While it's not my personal favorite, I still have so many great memories of playing this game. This was the game that truly set the standards for games to come. It had great music, great controls, it was the only Mario Kart to have a mission mode, and a lot of the tracks in this game are some of the most unbelievably creative and memorable tracks in the entire series. So today, we're going to be looking at the top 10 tracks throughout Mario Kart DS that are the best of the best. This list will be based on how fun the tracks are, as well as how unique they are compared to other tracks. But before we start, it turns out that 76% of you watching this aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you think this video is cool and see a big red subscribe button, make sure to click it so you can see more videos like this in the future. And with all that said, let's go! When you think Mario Kart tracks, something you will undoubtedly think of at some point is Rainbow Road. Every Mario Kart ever has to come up with their own variation of Rainbow Road. And if I'm being honest, the Mario Kart DS version of Rainbow Road is really kind of forgettable. Don't get me wrong, the design of the track is pretty good, especially since it has a loop-de-loop and a corkscrew, and the music, while pretty basic, still has this catchy feel to it. But that's the thing, this course is a really basic rendition of Rainbow Road. The track visually looks pretty boring and kind of reminds me of Double Dash's Rainbow Road. The difficulty is actually pretty easy for a Rainbow Road track, and nothing about the track is all that memorable. Again, this isn't a bad track, but it should have been a lot better since it is the final track in the game. As you probably know, Princess Peach is the ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom, meaning that she would obviously be very wealthy and have lots of money to spend on things. She uses that money to buy lots of property like circuits, beaches, and her own private garden in the back of her castle. In Peach Gardens, you drive through a giant garden that's filled with tons of flowers which can slow you down, beautiful scenery, and Peach's castle in the background. However, just because this garden is pretty doesn't mean that it's completely safe. Multiple chain chomps roam the garden with item boxes trailing behind them. There's also this small dirt section near the end with Monty moles hopping out of the ground. This is one of those tracks that's very relaxing, but there's plenty of stuff going on to keep things interesting, and that's what makes it so great. As I said earlier in the video, every Mario Kart game needs to come up with their own variation of Rainbow Road. Well, another track each game needs to have their own iteration of is Bowser's Castle, and similar to Mario Kart DS's Rainbow Road, the Mario Kart DS Bowser Castle isn't that memorable. This track definitely isn't bad by any means. The beginning of the track has you avoiding some thwomps, as well as going on the spinning circle, which lets you take a sneaky shortcut, to then having you bounce on this rotating rod and onto a bunch of blocks floating on the lava. While that might seem like a lot of stuff, most of the stuff we've seen in other Bowser Castle tracks. Also, the music that plays in the background is very basic Bowser music. Again, this is a good track, but when you look at the other Bowser Castle tracks, this comes off as pretty typical. Alright, now we're getting into the tracks that are actually great. One thing that Mario Kart DS did really well was providing fan service with its tracks. Several of the tracks in this game are based on actual Mario games from the past, and probably the most obvious example of this is Luigi's Mansion. Based on the game Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube, this track has you driving within the giant mansion from that game, with tons of the portrait ghosts on the wall. You then drive through a small graveyard with lots of booze floating around, and finally, you speed into this giant mud section where your driving gets all messed up, and there are giant walking trees wandering around to get in your path. As a big advocate for all things Luigi, I can definitely say that this is a great track. My only real issue with it is that I wish the course was a bit longer, but it's still really awesome. You know how I just said that Mario Kart DS has a lot of tracks that are based on actual Mario games? Well, This next track is based off a Mario game that was also released on the GameCube, Super Mario Sunshine. One of the best things about that game was Delfino Plaza, and while we didn't get that as a track, we got the next best thing, Delfino Square. In this course, you drive through a giant town with tons of buildings and markets to drive around. There's lots of sharp turns you have to make, a couple of shortcuts scattered around, and a big rising bridge that lets you get some serious speed or some serious airtime. I also like the music that plays during this track. It doesn't really fit with Super Mario Sunshine, but it fits perfectly with this track. I don't know what else to say. This may not be the most complex track, but it's just so pleasant to race through. A recurring theme throughout the Mario Kart games is that whenever Donkey Kong has his own course, it's usually based off a mountain. Now, I don't know what Donkey Kong has to do with mountains, but most of these tracks are really fun whenever I play them, and that still doesn't change when I get to the next track on this list, DK Pass. This track first has you going up a road on the side of a snowy mountain with tons of snow people and giant snowballs rolling down to ruin your day. There's even this one OP item box on the top of this hill that always gives you mushrooms or a star. After that, there's nowhere to go but down in the snow, which features even more snowballs, snow people, and a speed ramp to keep the action going. This is one of my go-to tracks whenever I play Mario Kart DS, because even though it's very action-packed, it has this very relaxing feel to it that I just love. Wario and Waluigi are known for having some truly incredible tracks throughout the Mario Kart franchise. Wario's Gold Mine, Waluigi Stadium, Wario Shipyard, Mount Wario. It's honestly amazing what these guys can create with all the money they make. One of those tracks that Wario made is in Mario Kart DS called Wario Stadium. In this track, you drive in a giant stadium with a long dirt track and mud spread all over the place to slow you down. The road you race on is very bumpy, with a bunch of speed boosts along the track to keep you on your toes. There's also a lot of fireballs that you need to maneuver around or else you'll get your butt burned. While all of this is happening, you got some catchy music playing in the background and the crowd cheering you on. This is probably my favorite stadium track in the Mario Kart series, just because it's the most fun to race on and the most visually appealing. Super Mario Bros. 3 is one of the best Mario games of all time. It may not have aged well, but it still holds up as a really fun game. One thing that game did to change up the Mario formula was to replace the standard castle levels with very difficult airship levels. But you want to know what's better than running on these levels? Racing on them in Airship Fortress. You start this track by having to avoid some bullet bills being shot from the ship, to then having to avoid some rocky wrenches on the ship's deck. You then head into the airship where you have to avoid large crates and fireballs being shot from the ceiling, and finally you get shot out of the ship's cannon and race down a tower and back to the start. This is such an amazing track, and the music adds this sense of urgency that not many other tracks have, which I love. I never get tired of this track, and that's why it's in the top 3 of this list. Super Mario 64 was Mario's first journey into 3D and is, without a doubt, one of the most important games in Mario history. One of the levels present in that game is Ticktock Clock, a level that takes place inside a giant clock. But like with Airship Fortress, why run around in this course when you can drive on this course instead? This track has you racing inside a giant clock, which means that there are tons of clock-like elements used to make up the track. There's giant rotating gears that can speed you up or slow you down. There's a bunch of pendulums that swing around and can knock you off the track, and there's times where you actually drive on clocks that have deadly swinging hands. The music that plays during this track has a very weird rhythm to it, but it fits the track perfectly. This track is memorable as all hell, and is easily one of the best tracks in Mario Kart history. But if you've been paying attention, then you know exactly what number 1 is.
Honestly, what else could you want from a racetrack? Waluigi Pinball is the greatest track in Mario Kart history. As I already said, Wario and Waluigi are known for their love for money and power, and they both use that to make their very own racetracks. However, while Wario is off making his stadium tracks, Waluigi takes it a step further and makes a literal pinball machine for a racetrack. This entire course is bursting with color and neon lights, with amazing music playing in the background, and every sound effect in the game has been replaced with something unique to this track. The track itself has tons of wide and sharp turns, with giant pinballs rolling around that you have to avoid, and the final section of the track has you on the main stage where the pinballs bounce around and try and knock you down. I honestly don't understand how Nintendo was able to make a course this fantastic. This is the pinnacle of Mario Kart tracks and is easily the greatest track in Mario Kart DS.
Thank you guys so much for watching my latest top 10. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to give it a like, and let me know down in the comments which one of these tracks is your favorite. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you know when I post more videos like this. Have a great day, stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.